to everything fantasy football, you have to ask one question. Don't you deserve a fighting chance? And now, welcome to Fighting Chance Live with your hosts, Kevin Tompkins and Scott Fishbowl 9 winner, Gary Haddow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fighting Chance Live. I am Kevin Tompkins of FightingChanceFantasy.com, and to my right, as always, the beautiful and vivacious, also of FightingChanceFantasy.com, Gary Haddow. My friend, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Another beautiful Wednesday night, and we get to have one of our most amazing guests so far. This is quite the treat.
You're damn right. You're damn right. We have the Hot Box Batch King himself, the king of the hot sauce. I have it right here. Y'all should be ordering off hotboxbatch.com. Bo McBrayer, a.k.a. Bo. Nick, I'm glad you didn't big time us tonight. Bo, how are you, my friend? How are you?
No, I couldn't possibly big time a show like this. This is what it's all about. Fighting Chance Live. It's on the bucket list, man. Maybe I need to aim higher in the future, but now I've reached this level, I can keep going upward. I mean, this is Bo McBig time on the Fighting Chance Live show for the first time. I love it.
Right. Damn right. And you know what? With our zero budget, I mean, we can only go up from here. I mean, you know, me and Gary are on a 2-bit operation here, but having you, Bo, with your hot sauce empire, you know, we're not worthy. We're not,
man. Bo knows everything for those that don't know.
But Gary knows NorCal.
I do. Hell yeah. Represent.
I'm repping the Dirty 530 tonight. It's not quite as cold as Fargo. I mean, I can wear shorts in the afternoon still, but yeah, it gets a little nippy out here in the evening when the sun goes down.
Yeah, it gets a little hazy when 420 runs around.
Oh, it's year round though. It doesn't quit. And 420 is just kind of like, you know, we celebrate a few things. St. Patty's Day, Halloween is a big day around here, but 420 is special. It's kind of like it's like you take your day off because you're not going to want to go back to work at any point that day. It's already spring break season, so yeah. I mean, it's baseball season. I love baseball, and you can just light it up and. That's it. That's a crash after that.
So, Bo, we'll kind of just jump in here. Why don't you give the viewers that, you know, they don't know that Bo knows everything. Where are you at? Where can we hear you? Where can we read you? Give us your pitch.
So, whoa, you got dogs. So I'm a dog lover. You can read about my dogs' stories and fantasy football related stuff on nimblewnumbers.com. I write 2 articles every week for Scott Simpson for DFS. I play all the sorts of games, but DFS is my true love because I'm a gambler. I'm a true degenerate, and I like action, and nothing provides more action and risk than DFS on a weekly basis. And so I write DFS for Scott. I also write I read an article for Podcastic Network, which is my hot takes. We sponsor it with Hotbox, and it's called the Picantics. And that's where I go and I try to use plausible, like factual based predictions, but they're crazy off the wall predictions that, I've only really nailed one this year. I've gotten close on a few. And then I just started writing Surprisingly Spicy Stacks, another DFS article for hammercast.com, because it's a lot of fun to kind of think outside the box. Everybody's looking at the big over-under games. They get everybody excited. They draw a lot of interest, but usually it's the winners that kind of pick the off-the-wall stack and then throw in a bunch of studs that win the big money. And so I try to kind of dive in a little deeper there with that article. And of course, you can find my hot sauce and my barbecue rub and some good merch on the hotboxbatch.com.
Hell yeah. What was the big one that your hot takes that you said you got one right? What was that?
It was the Atlanta-Minnesota game back a couple weeks ago. I literally wrote the script for that game 3 days before it happened, and I was so proud of myself because I've been on like zoned in on the Falcons all year. I don't know why. I don't really watch all their games, but for some reason I'm just honed in on the kind of game flow that I expect for each matchup. But I nailed that game perfectly. That was the game where everybody's like, "Oh, play Alexander Mattison." I was like, "Don't play Alexander Mattison." And the Falcons are going to get their first win by more than a touchdown, and they ended up winning by 20, I think. So I nailed it.
Yeah.
But that was the one off the wall thing that I completely just scripted. But the rest of them have been ranging from completely dead wrong, where I'm just like, yeah, it's a hot take. What do you know?
I will say, Kevin and I wish we had listened to you on that one, because I'm pretty sure Kevin had Madison at RB5, maybe even RB3.
I had Madison that week as RB29, and it was almost true. Yeah, he's just not good. Compared to Cook, he's just not good.
Compared to Cook, I don't know what running backs are good.
Not many,
he's elite. He's so good. So, well, hey, let's jump into the matchups. We'll try and get through these. We go through every game on our show, and hopefully try and keep it to a realistic time frame, but who knows? So, Thursday night football we got coming up here. We got the Colts at the Titans. And
this one.
I am excited for the game. I feel like every time the Colts play, I'm excited, and I'm never excited for the Colts fantasy options. Who are you excited for on the Colts? Do you trust Jonathan Taylor to be a running back 2 for you?
As an RB2, yeah, I do, and I have been. Not as excited as I was getting started this season. He hasn't been blocked for very well in run game. They've been a very good pass blocking team. Rivers is terrible. So you're kind of getting that loaded box situation a little more than we expected this year.
Yeah.
And plus Taylor's raw. He's polished in a way, but he's got all the measurables, but he hasn't had that opening to really pop. And of course, Frank Reich is benching him every chance he gets. Jordan Wilkins' corpse is out there more than JT is, and I'm still a huge JT guy. I've tried to get him wherever I can. I'm trying to buy low right now, but it's still his people who are rostering JT right now are still standing pat because they've seen this kid just. He's a powder keg of talent.
Yes.
We're just waiting for that one big signature vaulting performance, and it hasn't come yet. I don't know if this is the week, but I'll play him as an RB2 any day.
Is there anyone, and I'll throw this to Kevin, any wide receiver or tight end that even excites you in the least for this game?
In the least, you're looking at just who's got a decent, ceiling for targets, and that's probably Michael Pittman, even though I don't really care to start him in any lineups. He's really more of a stash at this point, just based on the state of the offense. We know Rivers loves to target the running backs and tight ends. So really that's going to make Trey Burton probably the most attractive piece, honestly, and that's only as a tight end streamer. I will say, though, Jack Doyle, he's not going to clear concussion protocols. So, this is a good spot for Trey Burton, and maybe, just hoping he gets in the end zone. But you could probably squeeze out a tight end 1 week out of him this week.
Yeah, and Mo Alley Cox is still questionable. I'm actually not sure if he's going to play. It seems like there's a chance, but I don't know. It sounds like definitely a Trey Burton game. Full steam ahead. Don't even question it. So,
yeah, I'm on the same boat there. Trey Burton all the way. He might get 25 targets. Who knows? Rivers doesn't have very good vision anymore, and he can't throw that far. So it's either Nyheim Hines or Trey Burton that are going to get the workload in the passing game, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Rivers has to throw the ball 25 times for him to get 25 targets. So,
and he's been doing it. Frank Reich is like, oh, we need to establish the run. Does he ever establish a run? Not this year.
No.
Not really. He spread it out to literally anybody on the roster. And that's just the way they operate there. But, going back to Taylor, and I'll just mention this, everybody was looking when Marlon Mack tore his Achilles. After that week 2 that Taylor had, I think everybody just had just heightened expectations for, all right, here comes Jonathan Taylor smash time the rest of the year. Clearly we've seen that's not happened. Frank Reich likes to split that up between 3 guys, and we were seeing Wilkins and Hines, split that with him. So, yeah, Taylor's going to have to learn how to run in an NFL offense behind that line. It's taking a little bit. He was generational at the combine, but not, so generational right now. So it's just a little bit of patience. And, yeah, like you said, Bo, it's a great time to buy low on him.
So on the other side of the ball, we got the Tennessee Titans who, they're a playoff team. They're looking great. This is a divisional matchup. Colts defense is the real deal. I think everybody can admit that. They're kind of the sneaky come from behind in the pack defense that just lights it up. We see one every year. So we have Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. They are smash auto starts. You're never going to bench them. You'll take your lumps if you have to, but they can both go off for 3 touchdowns and 150 yards on any given week. Tannehill, do you trust Tannehill this week?
Absolutely not. I think AJ Brown's my lock pick. I don't think it's a Henry week this week. Their Colts run defense is just as good as it gets. I mean, they're stuffing everybody. They're getting in the backfield. They don't miss tackles. I believe they have the lowest yards after contact allowed in the entire league. Yeah. They wrap up. They make great, solid decisions in the run game. They're always in the gaps, and that's going to kill Derrick Henry. He's going to have another 2-3 yard a carry week, and so they're going to have to push the ball down the field, which is really the only way to get out the Colts. Colts don't really get that big of a pass rush, so you have to hope that A.J. Brown or even Jonnu Smith up the seam can do something. Yeah. But it's really hard to trust Tannehill against a defense that's so opportunistic and forcing him to be one-dimensional.
And so what you're saying about Jonnu, I'm going to say my feelings on Tannehill and Jonnu, and that's you start both every week. You're going to take your lumps because they have shown and proven that they might. Well, Tannehill hasn't really had many down weeks, but Jonnu has a couple, but when he goes off, he goes off. I don't know how you bench either of them. Would you actually bench Tannehill this week, or would you bench Jonnu?
I would bench Tannehill. There's so few options at the tight end position, and quarterback is deep. I mean, your quarterback is interchangeable based on matchup. I've been known in a single quarterback league to stream all year long.
Yeah.
Like you wait till the 14th, 15th round to get a guy that would start week 1, and then you just kind of pick your poison. And so Tannehill's not getting the poison this week.
Right, and the thing with Tannehill, too, when you drafted him in the double-digit round. So more than likely, if you're in just a normal redraft league, you drafted probably 2, and we're hoping to kind of split the difference and find a QB1 there anyway. So in matchups like this, you likely have a decent option if you did draft 2 and kept them all year for buys. But I would bench him. He's my QB 16 this week. I mean, I don't see a lot of upside. Yeah, like you said, Bo, it's an A.J. Brown game, and that's really all you can take to the bank on that offense right now. Derrick Henry, he'll get you a floor game. He'll probably finish as a high-end RB2 for this game. They'll probably keep the clamps on him a little bit, but yeah, I mean, Ryan Tannehill, I'm fading in starting somebody else wherever I can.
Completely agree. So let's move on to a game that, to me, has some of the probably the most questions for fantasy owners of the entire slate, and that's Philadelphia at the Giants. On the Philadelphia side, so Miles, is he going to play?
I believe so. All the indications say that Sanders is a go. He might be limited, but he's a go.
Okay, so Miles Sanders is going to be a go. We'll come back to Wentz in a sec. So Fulham, I don't even know how to pronounce it. So he's a start. He's an auto start. He's just been lights out.
On fire.
Are Rager, Alshon, or Greg Ward worth a start here?
I mean, I love Rager as an upside player. He's so explosive. We haven't seen a lot of it, but I watch a lot of college ball, and Jalen Rager just jumps off the screen every time he's on the TV. You're seeing a big play from Jalen Rager. The games he has played, he's got 1 or 2 of those in him every single time he goes out there. So if you need an upside flex player, wide receiver 3, Rager's he's in almost all of my rosters across every format. And so I've been playing him with confidence just as an upside guy when I have solid options at the higher positions. I feel the same way about Ward, actually, as more of a steady guy because he's been getting some looks. I really don't like Alshon yet because I think they're going to baby him along even more. He's trade bait at the very least. They're going to put him on waivers any day now.
Yep. Kevin, are you flexing Rager?
I mean, even that's a dicey proposition to me, but I don't hate Jalen Rager. I just think there's better options out there, at least with a more consistent floor. I'll tell you who I love is Carson Wentz. I mean, he's back in my good graces after I said pretty much drop him after week 2. He's getting everybody healthy again. You got to figure the Eagles, are going to be the prohibitive favorite in the NFC East right now. He had 4 QB1 weeks out of 5 starts. Before with that bye included. So, and only 1 start under 35 pass attempts. So, I mean, Carson Wentz is all systems go here as far as, you could have gotten him cheap in the beginning of the season, and now you got yourself a QB1. But, Fulgham is all systems go as a wide receiver too. Rager can get up in there. He's just got to get the reps, and he's got to be able to get, that a little bit of that rapport. But I think that Eagles passing game now with Goddard back in the fold too. Miles Sanders, it's a perfect time to kind of buy into that Eagles offense right now with the pieces that they have, and Wentz, and if they can just shore up that offensive line a little bit, they'll be fine.
I completely agree. I mean, I picked up Wentz in a league that I have Lamar, and I'm actually it's crazy to say I'm playing the matchups with them just because I'm nervous about Lamar, kind of whatever's going on with that offense. If he shows it, it'll be fine him moving forward. But I love Wentz in this matchup, and I actually love Wentz matchups. Kind of rest of the season has a lot of really good ones. My final piece on this is just Dallas Goedert. I'm putting it out there right now. I think rest of season from this week moving forward, he will be a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, that's a good proposition. I mean, I'm not as huge on Wentz. I just don't trust the guy because he throws out these random duds every once in a while. And as a DFS player, I just hate Wentz because I never know when he's going to go off. But yeah, Dallas Goedert's one of my value tight ends this week that's just going to laying in the weeds. Yep. I mean, kind of a middle matchup because the Giants have been pretty solid up the middle. Yeah. But Goddard, man, if he gets the targets that we're expecting from Wentz, because Wentz, that's their whole offense, is they like to get the ball out of his hands because he if he doesn't have anywhere to go, he holds on so long and he's just prone to turnovers. But yeah, like Kevin said, the health of his receivers is huge.
Yep.
And that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say I am contractually obligated to not say anything bad about Carson Wentz or Dallas Goedert being in the Dakotas.
Right.
I've got a window right here. I can't say anything. It's too close.
Too many breaks.
Yeah, you actually can see the gleam of the moonlight off of the Carson Wentz shrine from your house.
Yep.
Yeah, because there's no trees. It's all flat. Bismarck's right over there, so.
And you probably are best friends with the guy that cold cocked Dallas Goedert down in Bismarck or wherever it was.
No, but apparently Stompy is because he got the video.
Oh yeah! Holy shit! I totally forgot about that.
That's amazing. But yeah, right. So Jackrabbit Slim there, Dallas Goedert. He's a great play, like you said, top 5 the rest of the season. I can totally see that.
I love him. Buy cheap if you can before Sunday. If you're looking for a tight end, go offer. He had a dud. They went into a bye. Dude's going to smash the rest of the season. Giants, similar questions, just lesser good options. I don't even know. So it looks like Devonta Freeman is on track to probably play. So that Wayne Gallman kind of blip. It's up to you if you're going to try and start one of them and hope that it works out. I have no confidence in Gallman or Devontae because I definitely think that they're going to be splitting carries moving forward. So wide receivers, rank them. Slayton, Shepard, Tate. Bo, rank the 3 of those for this week.
Sterling Shepard 1. Upside would be, I think you're going to see the Darius Slay versus Darius Slayton matchup again. And Slay got the best of Slayton last time. So I trust Shepard more because he's better at getting open. Slayton is a more explosive option. And Golden Tate is pretty much on the outs. He's pretty much benched for all intents and purposes. The coaching staff hates Golden Tate. He hates that they're not featuring him. Even after he scored a touchdown a couple weeks ago, he's yelling to throw him the damn ball. It's like, they just did, dude. Yeah, that's a toxic situation, and I just don't see how you can put that guy in a roster.
Yeah, Kevin, you know how much I loved Evan Ingram moving forward, going into the season. All right, has he lived up to the hype?
He is now. I mean, he's averaged basically 10 targets a game the last 3 weeks.
Hell yeah.
3 tight end, 12 or better finishes. Right now, he's their wide receiver 1, and Shepard's just below him. Right, and that's almost at the expense of Darius Slayton. So,
Yep.
with no one else, I mean, I would throw out, that Austin Mack touch. I mean, that's whatever. That's probably just a blip on the radar, or it could be not. He could be the guy that takes a bit of the snaps from Golden Tate. Who knows? But with the Giants right now, it's Engram and Shepard. With some splashes of Slayton, and that's about it. But Engram, it's great to see him, finally playing in games. I know I'm going to jinx it now. Yeah, exactly. This is what we were hoping for. We were drafting him at tight end 6, hoping he could play 14 games. And right now he's, getting into that groove. He's been fantastic. He's been what everybody hoped he's been. Let's just hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, we got a little scared though because we drafted him for that Jason Garrett tight end focused ceiling, and it didn't materialize very quickly at all because Jason Garrett's not very smart. But he's finally, after 9 weeks, saying, "Hey, I have a tight end that runs really fast and he's really tall, and Daniel Jones can't throw it accurately to a smaller guy." So it just the light bulb went on. He started clapping, got all excited, and now Evan Ingram's a thing again. I'm excited for it.
It's like catch radius matters or something.
All right. We don't normally do this and answer questions on the show, which I don't know why we don't, but just probably because we already run so long as is. But let's answer this real quick from Fred Stone Flint. Full point PPR, I need 3. Chark, A-Rob, Michael Thomas, Claypool, Shepard, or Mike Williams. Shepard's in here, so I felt like it was worthwhile doing.
Yeah. Pick 3. I think Chark's out this week. He's got a brutal matchup, and I don't trust Jake Luton this week as far as I can throw him. I would say A-Rob, Michael Thomas, and Claypool for me.
Agreed.
I would say, you know what? Let's get into the I'll throw Chark in there, and we're going to talk about that game next.
Perfect timing.
A-Rob and Michael Thomas. I will go those 3.
A-Rob, Michael Thomas, and Sharp. Wow. Okay. I thought you were going to say the opposite and throw in some Jair up in there. So moving on to Jacksonville at Green Bay. Ned, is Minshew going to play? That's my first question. Oh, let me take down that question. My apologies. And so it's going to be Luton. So Kevin, just tell us why Chark. Let's go with that because Chark just surprised the shit out of all of us last week.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jair Alexander's on concussion protocol right now, so he's no lock to play. He would be shadowing DJ Chark anyway. So, that's one thing you have to pay attention to all week, especially, if you roster DJ Chark, is Jair Alexander going to play? Because he can erase him. He erased Calvin Ridley. He's erased a lot of receivers. DJ Chark, he's not in the Calvin Ridley discussion. So let's get that straight. But that is something to keep in mind. If they're going to have Josh Jackson or Shannon Sullivan on him, whoever, that's a matchup Chark can win. Jake Luton looked really, way better than I thought he would look. We talked with Nando DeFino last week, and we were trying to kind of comp him, and the comp was maybe a little bit of Alex Smith with his check down, a little bit of Jared Goff too, and running that offense. He's got a little bit of that, and he looked pretty good last week. So I think he can at least get the ball to Chark. We saw that deep touchdown. He can certainly do that. So Green Bay's the only thing I worry about is the pressure coming from Green Bay's defense. But Zadarius Smith is also on the injury report too, so that's also big. This could be one of those kind of trap games for Green Bay. Jacksonville is a bit plucky, and they can score. James Robinson should have a big game this week against Green Bay's really pretty abysmal run defense. So. Definitely like the star players here. And Luton, Doug Marrone said that, he thinks that Luton could have a chance to just keep a job. Minshew might not get another snap.
I've heard that too.
It's just insane. We talked about it like last week. Like, how crazy would it be to get lightning in a bottle twice? And here they are. It's the potential it's going to happen after a team that was running out Blake Bortles for like years and Nick Foles for 4 minutes.
The best garbage time points I ever got. Bortles and A-Rob.
Hell yeah.
That was amazing.
2015 was a simpler time.
Yes, it was.
Go check out Kevin's most recent Twitter post, and he has something to say about that.
Yeah, all I know is that I see that Jacksonville's keeping it close because of the running game as in the realm of possibility. But I think Green Bay is going to boat race them. I think the game script is going to take James Robinson out of what they want him to do, which is to pound the rock right up the gut where Green Bay can't stop anybody.
Yep.
But I just can't see any scenario where Jacksonville's defense even remotely slows down Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and even Allen Lazard, who's slated to come back. That's going to be a lot of points on the board in a hurry, a lot like what they did to San Francisco last week. And I think that James Robinson smash game might be all for naught because they're going to be just trailing in Jake Luton against a better defense than last week by a long shot. I watch a lot of Pac-12 because I'm an Oregon guy. I hate Oregon State, and even then, I watch Oregon State guys come through. Steven Jackson was the last Oregon State Beaver I ever rostered. I never rostered Brandon Cooks. None of the little, what's his name? I forget his name. Little scat back. But yeah, it's been slim pickings, and Jake Luton is my comp for him is Brock Osweiler. He's tall. He's a statue. He's got an extremely strong arm, but he has no pocket presence. He doesn't really have mobility, even though he had a big running play in the last week. And he's got tools, but not enough to get at a good defense like Green Bay. It's going to be, I think, like 42-10.
Yeah, I think Luton was it. Not to say that he's not going to be good in the future, but I think your second game, you tend to come a little bit more crashing down when there's actual game tape on you. And I trust Green Bay's defense as much as they have faults to be able to do it. But with regards to Jair Alexander and DJ Chark, definitely be watching our Sunday show, Fighting Chance Kickoff. We do that at 10 a.m. Central. We go through all the injuries and whatnot. And that'll be something that we'll definitely be talking about, especially given
that's
how
huge. I didn't know he was in the protocol. That's a big difference. I'll have to pay attention because I do have Chark in a couple places.
Yeah, I actually did not realize that either. So 2 questions for Green Bay. We're obviously starting Rodgers, Jones, and Adams. MVS, are you going to trust him? Like, I finally didn't start him in Scott Fishbowl and freaking goes off. Not that it mattered. Tom Brady
Isn't that the story of MVS?
Yes, completely.
That is literally the story of MVS. Flip a coin. That's pretty much it.
He's a
I
poor
nailed it
man's
1 week
Mecole
last week.
Hardman.
That game where he came off the ankle sprain last year, and I just threw him in because I was desperate. And that was when he had like the 2 long touchdowns, and I was like, "All right, that's it. That's all I'm going to get at MVS."
Like, all right, I'm good.
I literally dropped him the week after. I was like, "That's it."
Terrible.
The throwaway phone.
So Robert Tonyan, I don't really know what to make of him. It seemed like he was going to be more integrated, and as soon as it seemed to be that, Jay Sternberger happens to be seeing more targets, or they're just spreading him around. Is Bob Tonyan droppable?
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, this offense does not feature the tight end no matter how much we want it to. Sternberger was the favorite in the offseason because he had more pedigree, if you want to call it that. The guy with even more draft capital was Josiah DeGuara, who's from my neck of the woods here in Sacramento. I have friends that went to church with Josiah DeGuara. If he was healthy, I think he would be over Tonyan too. Tonyan was that 1 week opportunity capture where Adams was out, Lazard's out, everybody's out, and so you got a warm body running routes, and Aaron Rodgers is going to find you if you're remotely close to open. Yeah. That was all that happened. That was it for Bob Tonyan.
And that was it.
Yep,
that was
everybody's
it.
Chasing that 3 touchdown. Everybody wants that fuzzy, that feel good. I want to love Robert Tonyan. I'm the Packer fan, and I don't really. Whatever his name, Tonyan.
Just call him Tyler Higbee. It's the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, he doesn't block as much, but I mean, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, right now he's a low end streamer. I mean, he hasn't finished above tight end 26 outside of that game against Minnesota, so where he had 5 for 79. So I mean, no thanks. Right now he's pretty much Tyler Higbee. He's Tyler Croft.
Yeah. If Yeah, Tyler Croft like woke up in the end zone a couple of times, and that was it.
Pretty much.
That's terrible. All right. So, well, let's move on to another fascinating game of
The football team.
The Washington football team, the WTFs at the Detroit Lions.
Ugh, woof. This game was a woof.
You're right. So Kyle Allen's done. I'm guessing it's got to be for the season, right? Like he fractured his ankle. So Alex Smith
might still be better than Smith right now with one ankle.
The stat that I saw that blew my mind was that I can't believe I just blanked on it. The running back that's not Antonio Gibson had a 35% target share. J.D. McKissick had a 35% target share. Like what?
New age James White.
Oh, it's terrible.
I love McKissick. Love McKissick.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Really?
I have him in like 6 leagues. I started him in almost all of them because they're mostly PPR. I started him in a couple builds on DraftKings, which is PPR. He's just a smash PPR value every single week the last couple of weeks. And it's just never going to end because that offense is a lot like the Carolina offense where they're just dump off. And Alex Smith being quarterback makes it even better. I love it. Give me all the J.D. McKissick every week until he dies. I'm going to take him.
And Gibson's hurt too.
Targets.
Yeah, he'll still play though.
Injury, so yeah.
14 targets is wild.
It's amazing.
But speaking of pass catchers, Kevin, what do you think of Terry McLaurin?
Yeah, he's okay. I assume you're referencing my my bold claim of wide receiver 1, not just a wide receiver 1, the wide receiver 1. So of Alex Smith's targets when he entered the game, Kyle Allen had 7 pass attempts. 13 of those went to J.D. McKissick. Okay, McLaurin still got 6. He had a pretty amazing touchdown, I will say, that Terry McLaurin touchdown. But look, he has the best and the most advantageous wide receiver to cornerback matchup of the entire slate against Desmond Trufant. So if that holds true, if Washington, and Detroit can stay in a neutral game script, I think Alex Smith can get the ball to him. And yeah, the air yards might go down, but I think that Terry McLaurin can still be just a gigantic factor. He is quarterback independent. He is matchup independent. It just so happens he has the best matchup of the week. So I think, Devontae Adams has been wide receiver 2 the last 3 weeks in BPR. So you've had different wide receiver 1s. I think Terry McLaurin is absolutely within the range of outcomes to be wide receiver 1, and I think he's going to hit that this week.
I mean, if you take Devontae Adams in a vacuum, like I have the last 3 weeks, he's only been wide receiver 2 because somebody else just went off a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, Devontae Adams might score 40 this week, and he might still be wide receiver 2 to somebody else who scores 42 to 50, like the Lockett week. Right. And you never know. But, I mean, if you're betting on who the wide receiver 1's going to be, it's got to be Adams.
Adams is a clear favorite, sure.
McLaurin, my God, is he good? That's just a stud out there. That he's a great route runner. He's fast. He's quick. He catches everything. And like you said, he's independent of who the quarterback is.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is he came out so late as far as age. If he came out and he was 21 or 22, I mean, he'd be like a dynasty top 6 wide receiver right now, but he's not because, Washington and the fact that he's on the end of 25 right now. He's going to turn 26 soon, I believe. So, I mean, he's going to play into his 30s more than a lot of guys do. He's hitting his peak probably right now, and he should have a good peak. They should have a better quarterback ball distributor, in the future than Alex Smith or Kyle Allen or Haskins or, Joe Theismann, whoever the hell you want to throw out there. But I mean, just
Jeff Hostetler.
Yeah. Sonny Jurgensen, who's somebody.
Doug Williams.
Get a quarterback in there. Get Trey Lance in there.
Call Gus Frerotte. I think he'd still play for Washington.
Danny Werfel, maybe.
Oh, bad Gator.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's the prospects for Washington are looking upward next year and onward. But right now we're still riding the wave of McLaurin playing out of his mind.
Yeah. Do you have any interest in Logan Thomas moving forward? Just a quick yes or no.
No.
Yeah. I mean, he's a streamer. I mean, anybody outside of tight end 8 is a streamer, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, it's basically just playing matchups. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he
see no
hasn't
reason why he
shown up.
can't. Yeah.
Even in his good matchups, he hasn't really done a lot. So I'm out on Logan.
I think if you have Antonio Gibson, you're probably still starting him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't overthink that one. Okay, so Detroit. Let's go to the Lions side of the ball. Is Galladay going to play?
Probably not.
Doesn't look great. I mean, he didn't practice today.
It's a groin.
but-
Groins are tricky for wide receivers.
Yeah, that's a 2 to 3 week injury right there.
Definitely. So then we have pretty much Marvin Jones, Hawkinson. You're starting them if you need to. I think Hawkinson at a tight end position, you're more than likely starting. Marvin Jones is one of those high-end wide receiver 3s. I don't know if I could call him a back-end wide receiver 2 at this point. Washington has a good pass defense, at least
Yes, they do.
metrics-wise. So
Yeah. It stems from their front 7. They have a great natural pass rush with their front 4. They've gotten pressure without blitzing all season, and that really lends a hand to the secondary. And so I guess they're number 1 against the wide receiver all season. It's because the quarterbacks just can't get it out wide when they're under duress quicker than they expect. And I expect that to remain the same, where you see Hawkinson kind of take that lead role this week because Washington is susceptible to the check down. They're getting after the quarterback, but the screen passes and the little dump offs are what kind of kill them with 1,000 cuts each week.
Yep.
And look too with the Lions, they couldn't push the ball up against the Vikings. What makes you think they're going to push the ball up this week against Washington? I mean, look at Marvin Jones and Marvin Hall combined for 6 for 71. They could not get the ball out,
and that surprised me a lot. That surprised me.
Exactly. So I mean, you're basically starting Marvin Jones as I would say more of a mid wide receiver 3, probably solid flex play. I mean, you're losing Chiefs, Jets, Cowboys, and there's another team, Falcons on bye. So you're losing some pass catchers there. So you probably don't have a choice really. Likely you have one of those guys, but I think it's tough. Marvin Jones to chase the touchdowns. He had a touchdown last week, but it's going to be risky to start really.
There's so many wide receivers that are just like Marvin Jones too, where you really can't count on consistent work. But every once in a while, he has that blow up game, and you're just hoping to catch that lightning in a bottle. That if you're left with that position where you have to start Marvin Jones, you're just praying that he cuts one loose, and you're hoping that Stafford has that wild hair where he actually throws an accurate deep ball again, and that's really all your hope for Marvin Jones is that he just happens to be on that one connection a game that sets him up.
Yeah, he's no Travis Fulgham.
Mm-mm.
Which is like the weirdest statement. It defines 2020. If you're probably starting him as a flex RB, and I don't know. I have no interest. AP to me is barely rosterable. You might have to flex him at weird spots, but Swift is the upside play, and probably even the floor play in PPR leagues. So
I love Swift this week. Actually, that's that same dump off mentality. Hawkinson and Swift are big elevates for me this week, and then Jones and Hall and any other bodies they lay out wide or in the slot like Amendola. They're big no-nos for me. I can't play them.
So let's move on. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say about Swift. I mean, Swift has a pretty decent floor. He's seen 14 touches every game since the week 5 bye. He's seeing that pass down work. So you can pretty much lock him as an RB2. What gets me about this damn offense is that they cannot get out of their own way, getting touches to AP and Kerryon Johnson. Granted, Johnson got most of his touches in garbage time, but I mean,
still.
Didn't you hear Matt Patricia's a rocket scientist?
He's got the pencil behind the ear, so he's smart.
Yeah, well, that'll be good for his next job when he gets fired in 7 weeks.
I always want to replace it with a crayon, just Photoshop a simple crayon behind the ear. Just
like the Cutler cigarette is just Patricia with a crayon.
Love it.
All right, Houston at Cleveland. Man, this game just has the feel to me like it's going to be a blowout. Just boat race.
Just just a shootout, I think.
Shootout. That's what I meant to say. Shootout. Yeah. Sorry, I said blowout. So on Houston's side of the ball, I actually only have one question, and that's, will David Johnson play? And if he doesn't, how high do you rank Duke?
Well, Bill O'Brien's gone, so I mean, we can give Duke Johnson a little upgrade, I guess. But I mean, David Johnson has concussion, and so if he passes protocol, the chances are he'll be on the field.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, then Duke Johnson in a PPR format that's wheels up, baby. Because I mean, as Kevin pointed out earlier today, all-time leading rusher in Miami Hurricanes history, and
So
that blows
crazy.
your mind. Duke Johnson in his 5-6 year career is the most underutilized talent in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, he's my RB14 this week. Romeo Crennel said basically doesn't look good for David Johnson, so I think Duke is just a smash here against Cleveland. I mean, he's been really, whenever he's got extended run, Duke Johnson has delivered. I mean, like Bo said, he's the most underutilized, underappreciated talent probably in the last 5 years at least. I mean, he got paid by Cleveland and then just put him on the shelf.
Yep.
It's amazing to me because I've always been on the side where you have the difference between a scat back and a bell cow is simply opportunity and coaching trust. And he, in his entire career, has not been trusted to be that guy that Christian McCaffrey is, even though they're the same freaking player. McCaffrey has been given the bell cow role. Warwick Dunn was given the bell cow role, despite them being diminutive, quick, great receiving backs that weren't necessarily the best pass blocking backs. Is their coach trusted them to give them the ball because they make big plays. Duke Johnson hasn't ever had that, but you see that potential, and I just hate the coaches that are like, oh, you're under 5'10", 220, you're not going to get your 25 touches. It just blows my mind. I want those guys to get the more work.
Yeah, you know who's a perfect comp for that's Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has gotten he is that diminutive pass catching back who they gave, they trusted him with the ball, and look at him now. I'm not saying, Duke Johnson could have been that, but I mean,
he could have been
upside. He could have been. He could have absolutely been that.
He has more of a college pedigree than Aaron Jones ever did. And
exactly.
And Jamal Williams, back in the McCarthy days, that was the mantra is, oh, Jamal Williams is your bruiser out of BYU. He's going to go down and punch you in the face. And then we have Aaron Jones to change the pace up. And we're like, well, every time Aaron Jones touches the ball, he's a threat to score. And Jamal Williams has never broken a tackle in his life. So it's like you're watching the film and you're like, give the guy the ball. It makes no sense. Running backs are going to get hurt either way.
So I'm just going to say.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Go for it.
I was just going to say, is it fair to say it's a Duke Johnson revenge game?
Ooh, yeah. Give it all to me. I don't know.
It's not even think about it. Man, it feels like it's been forever.
Smashing Duke in DFS. Duke Johnson's going to be everywhere.
I love Watson. I really like Fuller, and I really like Cooks. I don't know what much there is to say. If you want to throw a Cobb maybe randomly in there because you're looking for a Hail Mary, then go for it. He pops up in and out every 3 to 4 weeks. So
this is a great game stack opportunity, and with this shootout, you have lots of guys that are going to have the potential to pop up for huge plays, back and forth on both sides, and I love that. I love that it's kind of evenly matched, where both defenses are terrible and both offenses kind of lack a holster on them. They're going to put up points no matter what you do.
And let me ask you one more thing too. So if you're going to play this stack and say you play Watson, Cooks, and Fuller, who are you bringing it? Are you bringing it back with Landry, or are you bringing it back with a cheaper Austin Hooper? Because you got to figure that Houston stack is going to be moderately priced. Probably, that they're not going to be, grossly overpriced by any means. They're probably going to be a lower owned stack based on, versus the potential. But who would you bring back there?
So I'm not opposed to, if I do the receiver stack with Watson, I'm going to run it back with one of the running backs. Because I like Kareem Hunt, I still see in a smash opportunity because Houston cannot stop anybody. Ever, especially not a pass-catching running back. We've seen it all year. Nick Chubb, if he's active, is a sneaky play. I made so much bank last week because last week was my best week because I had the balls to find a way to put Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey in the same build. I spent up on those guys, and then I just threw value everywhere else. And guess what? Christian McCaffrey last week, coming off the injury, was only 5% owned.
Wow.
So you're looking at a guy coming off the shelf. They're kind of leery about his usage. And I think Nick Chubb, if he's coming back, he's going to come back strong. And especially against a terrible defense, I can see it again where it's another repeat where low ownership meets a stud running back just popping off big plays.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. I'm worried that Chubb's just going to have one of those post-injury lulls. With regard to the Hooper versus the injury, I actually really like Hooper.
Mm-hmm.
He was showing up well. Landry's going to get Roby, and Roby's actually been playing really well. It's the weird thing of the Texans defense having just glaring holes everywhere, but usually I want to say wide receiver. It's not even wide receiver ones don't do well. It's like non-traditional. Yeah,
they cover the slot pretty well.
Okay, yeah.
For some reason, you would think their slot corner would be outside if that was the case.
Yeah, so I
like Higgins this week though. In that case, Rashard Higgins might have himself one of those random pop-off games too.
Yeah, that's a good leverage play there. I would also say about Nick Chubb, that's a guy that if you're in redraft, you could probably, him or Hunt. I mean, this schedule, there's 2 games that worry me, and that's Philadelphia and Baltimore. But other than that, Houston this week, at Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at Giants, at the Jets. Giants and Jets are back-to-back in the fantasy playoffs. I mean, we talk about, we talked about the Ravens last week, and for those guys being buy lows. I would put Chubb in there. He could get in that Dalvin Cook kind of Zen mode that he's in right now, and that'd be the perfect time to do it to win you a league.
Yep. And I have Chubb everywhere, and this week is just so juicy because if he comes back and he's active this week or next week, he's everywhere for me. And I'm trying to buy low on Hunt now because everybody's worried about Chubb coming back and taking what Hunt has. And so I'm just like all over the Browns because, like you said, their schedule is so juicy. And that's an offense that can still put up numbers every week. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, I was loaded up on Ohio teams on offense in pretty much every league. I have lots of Bengals and Browns for some reason, but it's working.
Yeah, profitable.
All right. I'm gonna just say here right now we need to speed up a tiny bit. There's way more late slate games than I was expecting there to be.
Yeah, it's half and half.
It really is.
Yeah.
So Tampa Bay shit the bed this past week. They're going up against Carolina. It's going to be a good divisional game. Carolina is a way better team than I think a lot of credit's given to them. So let's just focus on Tampa Bay real quick. Let's just go with Jones or Fournette.
Fournette.
Okay. I feel the same way. Fournette's getting all the targets. Jones, he looks like they're going to start the game with him, but inevitably they end up moving to Fournette. Rank the wide receivers, and I actually struggled with this, and that's Evans, Godwin, Brown, and Miller. I don't know how to rank them, and I actually want to do a rest of season rank.
Me first?
Yeah, go for it.
I got Brown 1, Godwin 2, Evans 3, Miller 4. But Evans and Miller I see as a tie for third. Evans is he's not in good graces with Brady. It's never been the case this year. And so Evans is your separation guy that Brady typically looks for. And Brown is. Godwin is. They're both extremely precise route runners. They both have great hands. I give the edge to Brown because he doesn't have a broken finger that he's dealing with on every play. Brown showed up in incredible shape. He's going to learn the offense and get sharper by the week. I think Brown rest of the season is a revelation in that offense. And this week should be a huge bounce back for Brady. So if you're sleeping on Brady this week, don't. It's going to be a big – you never see the GOAT is not going to be bad 2 weeks in a row. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, totally. Kevin?
I've got to go Godwin, number 1. Tied for second, Evans and Brown. And then, we're looking at right now, Brown, Miller, and Tyler Johnson are splitting reps, but AB has the acumen. He can learn that offense in no problem. Give him 1 or 2 weeks and he's going to be a wide receiver, bottom end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3. He's got that rapport with Godwin. We'll just got to make sure they're healthy. I mean, one injury is going to pretty much shuffle everything. We've seen Godwin leave. We've seen Evans leave. We just got to hope, Godwin can stay healthy. But Godwin staying healthy, he's that precise route runner that, Tom Brady loves. That's easier to gain a rapport with a guy like that than with Evans to get in sync and get on the same page. So, give me Godwin over those guys. But AB is going to he's going to transform that offense more than people realize.
I'm embarrassed that I asked the question wrong. I should have thrown Gronk in there because Gronk is probably more important to this offense than Miller and Tyler Johnson, as you said. But we'll hold off on that. If you got Gronk, I think Gronk is he's an auto start at tight end. You're just going to be starting him regardless. He's gotten back into his groove. He's not quite back to being Gronk, but he's in his groove. Tight end 1, just set and forget it. So the reason I'm saying I'm embarrassed by that is because I'm nervous about Carolina. Hell hath no fury like Bruce Arians and Tampa Bay being just destroyed on national TV by the
embarrassed.
Oh my God, they look terrible. And here we are. So Carolina, it looks like CMC is going to be out. I didn't actually see, I've been tied up with work. How many weeks is it looking like CMC is potentially going to miss, or is there still just open for debate?
Just
weeks. They said up to 3. Yeah, they said up to 3 weeks with the shoulder sprain that he's dealing with.
It's crazy. So Mike Davis back on the menu, baby. So if you held him, you're in luck. Oh,
that's a valuable handcuff.
Definitely. But I mean, it's a tough game. I mean, the Tampa Bay rushing defense has been awesome, even though Vita Vea is out. I think he's still going to be out. He's out rest of the season. My apologies. So Mike Davis, put him in your lineup, locked and loaded. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. How do you rank those guys?
DJ Moore is primed for his annual second half heat up where he's completely uncoverable the whole season. But Teddy B's going to actually watch the tape this week and see that he missed about 25 routes that DJ ran, that he was wide open and was potential to break another 50-yard touchdown. Teddy B looks left where DJ Moore is. He looks left about 0.7 times per game because he's not confident in his arm strength. And so I'm hoping that he watches the tape and sees that if he just turns his shoulder a little bit to the left, he might see a wide open stud receiver every stinking play. Because Robbie Anderson is not a thing. He's open because he's right in front of you. But DJ Moore is an absolute dynamite stud. Give him the damn ball. And Mike Davis shouldn't be a thing, but he will be.
And I can't believe I even did this in the show doc. I didn't even include Curtis Samuel, he is the forgotten man. And yet Curtis Samuel is awesome so far the past few weeks.
And we're trying to push Sleeper and other outlets to include Curtis Samuel as a running back / wide receiver, like J.D. McKissick is on Sleeper already. Like I started McKissick last week at wide receiver, and it was glorious.
That is awesome. Yeah, the disrespect on Curtis Samuel. I mean, it's no secret that Teddy Bridgewater, certainly prefers to throw short. As we
and right.
And right, yeah, certainly. Curtis Samuel's been just ever since they cut Seth Roberts. That was pretty much the impediment on Curtis Samuel getting those slot snaps, and now he's getting worked. They're using him smarter. It's not even about getting a lot of that usage. They're using him a lot smarter and to his strength. So Curtis Samuel's a wild card, and he's a solid wide receiver 3 right now on this run that he's on. And Robbie Anderson, he's set and forget right now. DJ Moore, I mean, I will say I do have questions because I know they pretty much flipped the script from last year, as Robbie Anderson was more the deep guy, with the Jets, and DJ Moore was that shorter underneath target. Now they kind of flipped that, where DJ Moore has come more of that deep guy. And we know that Bridgewater's deep pass rate, he's QB 25 in that. He's only the percentage of passes thrown with 20-plus yards, only 11% from Bridgewater. So it's tough to trust DJ Moore right now. You really got to – at this point, you're just starting him and hoping that you can get double-digit points out of him in PPR. But
I trust him.
I think he's going to have a couple weeks here where he gets right, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think he's going to go on a surge. But I've said a lot of wrong things before. I'll keep saying them. I rank Terry McLaurin wide receiver 1, for God's sake.
Yeah, this is Bo telling everybody watching that DJ Moore starts this week.
All right.
The surge starts week 10 for DJ Moore.
And again, for those that don't know, Bo knows everything.
I heard that.
And when I'm wrong, I will admit it. I will go on Twitter and say, "Hey, let me have it. Bring it on."
I will. I'll say we need to recount the votes.
Stop counting.
Okay. Then moving on to Chargers at Dolphins. For fantasy purposes, I feel like at least the Chargers are kind of cut and dry. You're starting Herbert. He's on fire. He's amazing. And you're starting Allen. So it just, today, Anthony Lynn just said that Justin Jackson, he's sitting this week. They're going to rest him. His shoulder, I believe his shoulder is still banged up. Is this going to be Josh Kelly, or is this going to be they re-elevate Kalen Ballage? Once Kalen Ballage is put back up for the second time, he is officially a part of their active roster.
Yeah, and Troy Maine Pope is supposed to be out too, so that opens the door for Kalen frickin' Ballage again. I'm fading that whole backfield regardless of who's active. I can't trust them. Ballage is terrible. Like I still saw it in his big, quote unquote, big game last week where he saw multiple touches for the first time in a couple of years, and he's not good. And Josh Kelly is just a guy. Another guy I saw a lot of in the Pac-12 just plod along, make some moves on terrible Pac-12 defenses. He goes into the draft. Everybody's like, "Ooh, Josh Kelly went to the Chargers." I'm like, so what? That guy is a 3.5 yard carry guy. He's never going to be anything else. And that whole backfield's a mess. Yep. Without Eckler, that backfield is no touchy. I don't want it.
Once Eckler gets back, he's going to have a stranglehold again.
I love Eckler, but I hate the rest of those guys.
They're saying week 12 for Eckler.
Perfect.
It's fine, man. Go buy him in Dynasty if you can.
Yep.
We got to throw that out there because right now nobody has shown up enough to supplant him. And Herbert just, God damn, he looks so good.
My boy, Oregon Ducks, baby.
Take off your beanie, by the way, man. Cowboys. Anyway, I don't want to get it.
I got my hat backwards.
Oh, okay. Miami. So this defense is legit. They looked awesome. And on top of that, we get Tua time. He looked good. Completely different from Herbert. I mean, he does finally look like somebody that, that not finally he had one game before this. They're going to build around him. It looks awesome. Unfortunately, what his go-to target was Preston Williams is going to be out for this game. Who are you starting on the Dolphins offense?
Salvon Ahmed.
Like solid, I would put them in my RB1-2 flex. Would you put Ahmed in there?
No. No, I can't.
So wait and see. Wait and see.
This game is all the red flags balled up into I like both quarterbacks, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And maybe Keenan Allen.
I'd start Devontae. I mean, we saw Tua at least target the wide receiver position more than anything. So
that's good.
At least there's a little bit. Yeah, that's what we really wanted to know. What was he going to target in these first 2 weeks? And yeah, he targeted Preston Williams. Now that he's out, I mean, I'm taking natural pivot to Devontae Parker. I mean, yeah, he's not going to get that usage that he got with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I think he's a wide receiver 3 at the very least. I think he's going to get some volume. I think he'll be fine. They're using a lot of gadget stuff. Like they're using a lot of Jakeem Grant. They're using Malcolm Perry. They're using I can't think of his damn name. There's another Patrick Laird. There's another guy. Anyway, so
Jordan Howard's course.
This would be a kick-ass Isaiah Ford game if they
traded
him.
Gesicki is a damn gadget guy at this point. I mean, if we're being honest, but
what is up with that guy? I just can't. I can't with Gesicki.
He and Andrews are lamenting and crying together. So,
well, it's like Andrews is still in a great system for it, but like, man, Gesicki is just—he's massive, he's fast, he's all the things you want a tight end to be. Is he just not open? What's the deal?
Well, it's funny that I was talking about, with a couple other guys that I thought the big winner in the trade deadline was Mike Gesicki because they got rid of Isaiah Ford. You could see him get into the slot and have that to himself. Nope. Got to give all these former quarterbacks and Jakeem Grant, all this. It's wild, honestly. So, I mean, he's playing more in line, too. That's the crazy thing.
And I thought that with Tua being elevated, that the Gesicki would be the biggest winner. It's like, what more does a short quarterback want than a 6'7" tight end?
Yeah, big man. All right, well, we'll move on from that. It's a crapshoot if you want to take your shots there. Take Herbert and go from there. Maybe and take Allen, but I don't even know. Denver at the. I said Vegas in my head, and I was like, that's not right. As I'm looking at LV, Denver or Vegas. Man, Drew Lock showed up. Like, for fantasy, at least, he showed up. Looked pretty okay, and put some numbers on rushing
all ships.
Right? Like, yeah, it's crazy. And Judy once again just continues to look like. He looks like exactly what I thought he would be. This awesome, studly wide receiver that Drew Lock holds back, or at least the Broncos hold back. And honestly, he's looked great.
I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I think that that franchise is starved for everything except for wide receiver. They have some great talent on that receiving core. And so Judy is the main guy there. Cortland Sutton, on his injured reserve, is losing out to guys like Tim Patrick, and even KJ Hamler is going to shine when he gets more looks at a healthy body. Locke, he doesn't have to do much. And when you get those plus matchups like the Falcons and the Raiders this week, that's when you're going to see that he's got some moderate amount of talent, but he's got so many studs around him that you just can't help but not, like, he was in my stack with Judy last week in that Cook and Christian McCaffrey lineup that I mean, we're playing with house money for a few weeks now on DraftKings because of that stack, and it was all based on matchup. I don't trust Locke as far as he could throw me. It's just it's opportunity, and he's got a chance now against another bad defense to just put up great numbers.
Yep. Millie Maker winning Drew Lock, by the way. So, I mean, we're looking at Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. That's, Jerry Jeudy moved outside, and that's when he started, he was playing more in the slot at the beginning of the season. Now they moved him outside, put Hamler in the slot, and now this, basically this offense is in, I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, don't give a fuck mode. They're just hucking it up, chucking it. Drew Lock has been awesome with the ADOT. So, I mean, they're going to be in a lot of negative game scripts going forward here. I mean, this could probably be, back and forth, at least between these two teams. So I can see this being a shootout as well.
Yeah, I really do. It's a divisional matchup, which kind of puts a little cap on it because they're familiar with each other. But yeah, there's so much passing talent on both sides here that should have plus matchups going both ways. And even the Broncos running game, like you were going to touch on that, I'm sure next. The Broncos running game looks pretty plus against Las Vegas as well.
Hell yeah. I completely agree. The question for me is, how much of a split is it going to be? Melvin, is he going to be the 70-30, 65-35, whatever it is? Lindsey's looked good when he's gotten a chance. He's just gotten injured a couple times. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. But whoever it is, you're going to probably start Melvin, I think. I don't know if you guys said it. I was texting my buddy. I just realized that we have waivers running in 22 minutes, and we actually have some spots we need to fill. And Albert O tore his ACL. Fant busted his ankle a little bit, but it sounds like Fant is going to play. I think Albert O tearing his ACL is actually a huge thing for Fant because Albert O is starting to get some good targets. And if those are going to go to Fant, then, Fant's going to be, I'm not going to say a top 5 tight end, but I'll say top 6 because I actually like Goddard more than him, even though I probably shouldn't, and I'll get yelled at for making that comment.
I think Gordon's just like Josh Kelly, where he's not a good running back. He's not efficient. When he has volume, he does well, especially in good matchups. Philip Lindsay is one of the most efficient running backs in the league. Every time he's on the field, if he can get healthy, he's a big play waiting to happen. He's just explosive. He's 5.5, 6 yard a carry guy for his whole life. And undrafted, disrespected his whole life. He's got a lot of that Aaron Rodgers chip on his shoulder where it's like, you're going to forget about me. I'm going to make you remember. I'm going to break my wrist, break my thumb, sprain my ankle, and then you're going to forget about me again. I'm going to prove you wrong again.
I think Bo is listening to our pods in August because I think I pretty much said that exact same stuff.
When it was Lindsay season?
The chip on the shoulder stuff. I mean, yeah. But the thing about the split right now is that it's 62-37 pretty much between Gordon and Lindsay, at least last week, but it doesn't keep anybody consistently involved. I mean, Lindsay's getting that passing down work, but he's not getting enough work to make it matter in fantasy, and that's the crazy thing. If they got
points per game is equal despite that split. How crazy is that?
Money talks, man. It sucks, but I mean, Melvin Gordon is just what he is. He's a plotter, and he's going to siphon off some of that pass-catching work just because he's Melvin Gordon, and it is what it is. I mean, it's tough to start really either of those guys as any more than at least for me, a flex. Probably Gordon is a bottom end RB2, but doesn't do anything for me either guy, honestly, right now with the way the split's working out.
Yeah, starting them both this week with confidence.
So let's move to Vegas. I actually don't even know how much there is to talk about here. I do have one just big question. Has Jacobs been a disappointment?
Overall, yeah, for his draft capital. His ADP, he hasn't really reached that. He hasn't been healthy. And they played that bad weather game against Cleveland, and you have all the reasons why Jacobs should smash have been trifled by something else. And so it's either injury or weather or opportunity or bad matchups. And Jacobs is a good second half bounce back candidate because their schedule looks pretty good too. But yeah, so far for ADP, Jacobs at the end of the first round, early second round, it's no bueno.
Yeah.
It's tough because, Jacobs had that 3 touchdown game at the beginning of the season. I mean, that's really, he's RB10 right now, but that game definitely buoyed a lot of that. So, the insistence on them just putting Devontae Booker out is really tough to see. He's only gotten I believe 2 targets in the last 2 games Jacobs has with their insistence on using him in the passing game weeks 1 through 7. I mean, now they've pretty much just erased him from the passing game. But right now, I mean, if we're talking about the receivers in the Raiders, there's a lot of parallels right now to the Packers. I mean, Darren Waller is Devontae Adams, Ruggs is MVS, and everybody else is fighting for scraps.
Right. That's pretty much it. I mean, start Waller with confidence, start Jacobs because you have to. Carr is a great streamer this week, but it's this game is either going to be a disappointing, low scoring game that we didn't see coming, or it's going to be 52-49 because neither one of these teams gives a fuck about anything.
I do not think Carr is a great streamer. Yeah, I don't think Carr is a great streamer, and I agree with starting Aguilar for cheap.
Yeah.
Division game, something like this, I feel like Carr is going to get blown up. Let's move on, though, for time's sake. Buffalo at Arizona. Over under 56. I think it's the highest on the week. This is going to be a wild game. I can't wait for it. I mean, I think I don't even know if these two, they're in the top 4 for MVP, maybe top 5 for MVP. Actually, I've been thinking that Kyler probably is vaulting himself into MVP candidate right now, given what he's doing with that team and their record and whatnot. But
my preseason MVP, Kyler Murray.
There you go. Josh Allen's back. We just saw him light up the amazing defense that is the terrible actual Seahawks. They're historically bad. Diggs, man, biggest miss of my year is probably going to be Diggs right now. That sucks. I'm butthurt that I didn't keep him in some leagues where I could have. And yeah, I mean, I think Brown and even Gabriel Davis are flexible in a matchup like this.
Yes.
It's going to be it's a boat race. My real question for this, I think that actually impacts people, is going to be Singletary or Moss. Who do you like here, and who do you like rest of season?
I don't like either this week, but the rest of the season, it's definitely Moss. Moss is just a more versatile back. He, despite them being carbon copies of one another on paper, Moss is just a better running back. He has more of that pedigree behind his name, and you watch him play on tape, and he's head and shoulders above Singletary in ability at the position. And I think the Bills know that, which is why they drafted Moss in the first place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. We're team Zach Moss. So for Arizona, like I said, Kyler to me looks like he's potentially becoming the MVP. We got to see what Wilson does, and you're obviously starting Hopkins. That's not a question. That's just silly. And so the number one question: if Drake is back, are you putting Drake or Edmonds ahead? Are you saying Drake's out?
I
I don't think he's playing.
if Drake plays, I'm still playing Edmonds.
Okay.
Yep, same.
And then are we finally believing in Christian Kirk?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's always been that talented. He's just never been healthy. And now that he's healthy and he's got a stud quarterback throwing in deep balls that are majestic, we're looking at something special with this offense.
Kevin and I had a sad moment for the pod. Actually, we had somebody ask Kevin about a Jerry Jeudy or Christian Kirk in some, scrub, and who to start. And we said Jerry Jeudy. It made sense. I'm saying Kevin said it was a DM to him from a baseball pitcher, an MLB baseball pitcher, and we went with Jeudy. And he texted Kevin being like, "Oh my God, this Jeudy play was awesome."
Yep.
Fucking Christian Kirk ruining this bullshit for us. Anyway, On that note, Kevin, you take us to the next game. I got to get another beer because I don't really know what this game is about. So I'll be right back.
Yeah, so let's get into San Francisco at New Orleans. So
Trap game.
Yeah, I mean this could be a close game. I think we saw Richie James go off, but I'm not. I think that's just It was a perfect storm for Richie James with everybody out. They had
garbage
time.
time.
Really throw to River Craycraft. I mean, come on.
Soft zones for half of the game.
Exactly. So, we should have our usual suspects. I don't know about Kendrick Bourne actually because of COVID now. But Brandon Ayuk, I think, is going to be a tougher play. Where are you at with Brandon Ayuk and even the tight end, Ross Dwelly or Jordan Reed? Who do you think in this 49ers passing game?
So I actually love Mullins as a streamer this week because the Saints secondary played out of their minds against Tampa. It was mostly a game script blowout where you had 4 straight 3-and-outs to start that game. So it was, by the time you blinked, it was 28-0, and that game script was already set in stone. And so the Saints were able to pin their ears back and get after Brady. And so I don't see that happening because the 49ers are going to make it a point to establish the run and get their Deebo Samuel here is back. And if Deebo's back, it limits what Ayuk can do in the offense, but they're both studs. And Nick Mullins is pretty good at pushing the ball downfield, especially if he's getting the ball out of his hands, which they're going to make a priority against New Orleans, who have a pretty pass rush with Cam Jordan back there. So I see this as an upset opportunity trap game for the Saints. Might get upset here.
Yeah, totally think that's
Look at Gary. Gary.
Gary is speechless.
I was waiting all show for this one.
I tried to leave for it, and here we are. Dude, they're not getting upset. No way. They're about to get their asses handed to them. Fuck the Saints. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, YouTube, we're not getting monetized.
So the problem is I don't see Drew Brees exploiting the deep ball because that's just not his game. He was able to pick apart the short routes just all game against Tampa because Tampa's good at outside covering in, and it matches up so well against Tampa, but not against San Francisco. San Francisco's defense has Jason Verrett back, and so they're going to be able to lock up on Michael Thomas, who's still going to get his. You're not going to bench him. But all those other guys, Emmanuel Sanders, their tight end position, Jared Cook, Adam Trautman, whoever they have, Taysom Hill's a tight end for all intents and purposes. Kamara's going to get his because he's an absolute stud. But other than those two guys, I don't see the Saints really scoring as many points as they want to blow San Francisco out. And San Francisco has an underrated offense. They have all year. It's going to be a close one.
I appreciate you right now.
I hate the 49ers with a fiery passion, but I see this as a big sirens blaring upset alert.
I get it.
I appreciate you right now.
You know how hard it is for me to say that the 49ers might upset a better team?
Dude,
It pains me.
Yeah, that was Kittle against the Saints last year. This year, it's not going to happen. They're going to get their ass kicked.
Okay.
We can move on to the next game unless there's anything else you guys want to add.
Yeah,
I'm good.
All right, so Seattle at the Los Angeles Rams. This will be a good game.
Yeah.
I almost said it's another divisional game as if the Niners Saints was. It just feels that way. I'm expecting a Wilson bounce back game. I really am. I know that the Rams have a good defense. I respect that, but I also respect that Wilson, in my opinion, is the second best quarterback in the NFL.
Right. And just like what I said about Brady earlier, you never see the elite guys go back-to-back bad weeks, ever.
Yeah. They never go DVDA. I'm really excited to see, Jalen Ramsey is shadowing DK Metcalf. God, it's going to be so much fun.
Lock-it game.
Totally. That's exactly how I feel, and hopefully it works.
I wrote about it.
Way.
I think my article Scott just posted my article. So
did I in the sheet. I'm excited. We agree then.
This is chalk fest.
Yeah. This game is chalk all over it. I'm featuring both Rams wide receivers, Kupp and Woods, this week because it's Seattle. It's Seattle. They cover the tight end okay. They're good at stopping the run, but wide receivers are green flagged, full board, Talladega Raceway. We're talking huge numbers from the wide receiver position. And the Rams have some good ones.
Yeah, one's okay.
Even Josh Reynolds might go off. I mean, that's how bad
I'm
Seattle
thinking about. I'm thinking that as a wide receiver 3, like kind of as a deeper like GPP play, like it makes sense just in case, Diggs or Dunbar. Or it's not Diggs. If Dunbar is able to, make some movement against Kupp or Woods, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
No, Kupp and Woods are both going to eat them alive.
Completely. Do you think Chris Carson's going to be back?
Maybe, and it's such a. I mean, Pete Carroll is so unpredictable with who he's going to feature game by game. And a lot of these coaches are coy like that, where we're gonna make it a game time decision for as many players as we're allowed to make. Carson, even if he plays with a midfoot sprain, he might tumble into the end zone, but it's really hard to start him against a Rams defense they're hit and miss against the run. You just don't know. I like to play guys with confidence, and I don't have much.
So speaking of confidence, sorry, Kevin.
Oh, I was just going to say, between Carson and Hyde, Carson is definitely the more likely to play. But, DJ Dallas, I don't think he's going to be if it's his show again, I'm not really expecting much out of him, maybe a couple points here out of the backfield. But, against that Rams front, I can't really, prognosticate anything more than maybe a flex option.
Russ and Lockett game, baby.
Yeah, if it's Dallas's game, it's Wilson's game type thing. That's how I see it. So, Speaking of confidence in backfields, what do you make of the Rams backfield? They're coming out of a bye, and I have no idea what to expect.
My exact words in my article today were, if Sean McVay's lips are moving, he is lying filthily.
I mean, I just think that regardless, but that's just because
But this is
Coach the
the thing is he has two supremely talented, physically gifted running backs, Akers and Henderson, and he chooses to give the ball to the worst running back I've ever seen,
The
Malcolm Brown.
dustiest.
And then the excuse is, oh, he's a better pass blocker. That offense never, ever lets their running backs stay in and block. They're all running routes every play. What are you talking about? Why do you have Malcolm Brown on the field ever for?
I thought you were talking about Robert Woods when you said these two. It was like Robert Woods and Malcolm Brown. That's it. The names coming out of his mouth.
Robert Woods is awesome. But no, Malcolm Brown is absolute trash. Like, he's a great guy. Like, I've heard him interviewed. Great person. Don't put him on the football field when you have Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. Enough said.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I mean, Cam Akers is God. Just use the dude. I mean, yeah. That's all I'm going to say. Just use the dude. This will be
Please.
18 touch games for Cam
Please.
Akers out of the bye, just because.
Please.
I felt weird even writing the question. If it wasn't for the defense, I wouldn't have written it. And that's, what about Higbee or Gerald Everett?
Never.
Higbee is a tackle.
Higbee is a gigantic, fast human who is, he's a good tight end, but I don't get it. I mean, he's not consistent. He's just another athlete on the field that they don't use.
Yeah.
And Everett has been the starter since the beginning of 2019, and the only reason he hasn't been the starter is when he was injured. And all the Higbee truthers are like, oh, look at that legendary 5-game stretch at the end of 2019 when Everett was out. I was like, well, Everett's not out anymore.
Yeah.
When he's on the field, he's the feature. And so if I'm starting anybody, it's Everett, and Higbee might have another blow-up game every once in a while, but I can't count on it. You can't ever predict it. So now I'm out.
I mean,
Well,
that
you know what?
touchdown game was like, what, 40% of his points this year?
Week 2, it might even be more than that.
Well, you know what, Bo? In our Scott Fishbowl League, I just picked up Gerald Everett because you spoke
He was
so highly.
out there?
Yeah, Corey dropped him, and I was like,
Yeah, well,
I don't know if I really care.
I saw
You
that,
guys are in
and
the same division, right?
yeah.
This is actually how we know each other, is because of Scott Fish.
That's right.
That's in that
Scott Fish
league. You
brings
waited
together
till
two up.
14th or 15th round to take your tight end 1, which might have been who was it? Was it Dallas Cowboys injured tight
I
end
took-
like Jarwin?
You mean
It might have been Doyle or Jarwin.
No,
that you
it was,
waited
it was
till-
Jack Doyle.
Yeah, ew.
Jack Doyle
took-
and Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, I took Jarwin as my first in like the 13th, I think.
Yeah,
So-
I took Jonnu and Hurst back to back in round 7 and 8 because I'm just so high on both of them. It's been okay,
You
but
know everything.
yeah, right. But nobody punts tight ends deeper than Gary Haddow. He's the Johnny Hecker of punting tight ends.
How many Scott Fish Bowls have you won, mofo?
It's my first one, and I need some points to make it in on points qualifying because I have a
Sounded
terrible
like a
record.
zero to me.
I'm 4th in our division in points, and I have the 3rd worst record. I've been getting scored on by everybody, but I have 3 weeks over 200 points, and I'm still in the hunt.
I am probably the worst in our division, so we're good. Let's move on. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh.
Bloodbath.
Cincinnati looks like they're going to be mixinless, and it's going to be potentially another Bernard game. Do you have any trust in Bernard, given that it's going to be the Steelers?
No.
Yeah, not really.
Do you have any trust in any Bengals offensive players?
Tyler Boyd. Give me Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, maybe
and Higgins.
if I'm talking deeper. AJ Green he's fool's gold. And Joe Burrow maybe on volume, but he's going to have to make some big plays in the passing game, and he might not have time to do that because their offensive line is going to hold him back.
Probably get to throw like 50 times.
Right, if he can get the ball out of his hands.
I'm better than Scott Fishbowl than you, but you have more points than me.
Yeah, so who's really better? You beat me head to head in week 2 or week 1. Week 1.
That's all that matters.
And I annihilated you in was it Warrior Bowl or Hunger Bowl? Warrior Bowl.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I won. Like I'm at the top of I'm towards the top of Warrior Bowl overall. So That's no shame
for
in that.
anybody. PSA for anybody that goes through a pandemic in the future: don't draft like 20 teams thinking that it's realistic. Like 5, maybe 6 is a realistic number. Anything above that is just showboating.
So
And
not 51 like I did.
Kevin, that doesn't count because lots of those are best ball.
Best ball, yeah.
Damn right.
I have 28 if you count best ball, and I have 10 season-long leagues that I actually play with.
Damn it, Kevin, remind me after the show. I want an update on our underground, whatever it's called.
Second.
Oh,
We're
still?
second right now. Yep.
Okay.
Our underdog fantasy. Our
Yes.
best ball mania.
Nice.
Pittsburgh. All right. So Roethlisberger has banged up knees. It sounds like he's going to play. I think this
Big
is
deal.
a soft enough matchup that he can still put up some points, especially if you're forced to play him because you have Joe Burrow as your only other quarterback on your roster. Connor's going to be huge. I think everybody's on, he's a high-end RB2, if not back-end RB1, right?
He was
Yeah,
he's supposed to be last week.
I know I'm just a little leery because he's so disappointing the last 4 weeks, and because he's got all these cush matchups and he's looking soft again. Like he went when he got benched or ankle sprained or he lost his helmet somehow back earlier in the season where it was technically a benching. He came back fired up, and you saw a couple weeks where he was just unstoppable. But he's back to being soft because the Cowboys punched him in the mouth early in that game, and he looked defeated.
Sure.
Like where you get two yards of carry out of James Conner in a very, very favorable matchup. That doesn't bode well for the next week because the Bengals that's a divisional game. They're gonna punch him in the mouth as hard as they can early on. And so I'm higher on Big Ben. I'm not confident in starting Conner as much, even though I probably have to in a couple leagues. I hope he grows a pair and starts running hard again.
Yeah, he's an RB2 because you have to start him, but I mean, you're pretty much hoping he gets 60 to 70 total yards with a few catches. I mean, last week was the smash week of all smash weeks, and a perfect opportunity. And
yes,
that just did not begin right for the Steelers, and they kind of were playing behind the 8 ball most of that game. Basically they were almost shell shocked by Garrett Gilbert. So
I always blame games like that based on they're looking forward to their next opponent.
That's why they play the games, my friend.
Yeah.
Rank the wide receivers because I have Deontay and I have Claypool on a roster, and then Juju is somehow now potentially like this is just when you're at like sporting events and they have like the 3 different colors that are like racing around the track and they're always kind of next to each other.
Yeah.
They're all that.
Juju is another overrated USC product that isn't a great opportunity, so he's going to get good looks every once in a while. He's young. His age is why he's a dynasty piece. He's very young. He's only 23 still. You combine a good passing offense and an overrated prospect that's only 23, he's still going to be a good dynasty buy. But I would rank it Claypool, Deontay, and then Juju.
Just so anybody that's listening, if you want any more of these spicy takes, hotboxbatch.com.
Yeah, I got it emanating from my pores permanently now. But yeah, for rest of season, for Dynasty, for this week, it's that ranking, that order.
Damn, that's rough, man, because I do have Deontay 1. And really Juju and Claypool are kind of interchangeable for me. It's just my feeling throughout the day, I guess, is when I'll rank one over the other. Because I think Juju still has his moments, but I think Claypool is by far the better long-term investment there. But Deontay, when he's healthy and when he's on, he's a technician. The dude's a stud. I mean, I just hope, this year is his Will Fuller year, basically. It feels like that, where he just cannot stay healthy. But, I really hope he can, because he is the closest thing that they've had, to Antonio Brown is Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
So
he's gifted.
He absolutely 100%. So yeah, Deontay's a clear one for me, and then kind of flip flop on Claypool. Claypool, long term, sure. Juju short term right now for redraft this year.
So I have one more thing about Juju is if you take him away from Pittsburgh, he's Keelan Cole. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, so do we know Juju is probably going to be elsewhere next season?
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about a Green Bay landing spot?
I would think that would be best case scenario for him, where you can have another elevation due to quarterback play. But if you send him to a neutral or worse quarterback, he's going to disappear. Just like he did last year when his quarterback situation was downgraded.
That's fair. Absolutely.
He's not that good. He's great because Ben hits him, features him. He has great matchups in that division. You don't see him beating up Baltimore. You don't see him burning good corners ever.
Anyway, I don't know. I disagree. I think that anybody that's going to take Juju, you're paying up for him because you have a quarterback that's not ailing Ben. And, imagine if he – not imagine because that's not the point of this. If he goes to any team with a competent quarterback that's younger, there's going to be a growth and development there that I am quite shocked that you are saying negative things of him coming out of college, even though it's been a couple of years, and he did what he did, and he had a down year with Duck and Mason. And this year, he hasn't been great, but it's not as if Ben has been great. So we'll look and see. You and I will revisit this at some point.
Yes,
even though you know everything.
And everybody who I've popped that off to on Twitter is waiting for me to be wrong. So we'll see.
Yeah. I don't need hot sauce. You're the one with the spicy takes. So, Baltimore at New England. God, this matchup is just so awesome sounding.
Yeah, it's
what a
disappointment bowl this year.
Yeah, totally. It's not
If you're
quite
looking
Taco
for
Bowl,
offense,
but
you might not find it here.
That over-under might be even too high still.
I know. I mean, I think – yeah, I don't even know.
Really?
Yeah. I think that Baltimore is able to score – nope, yep, that sounds about right. 44 points. I mean, it's 43 and a half. 44 is pretty close to where it would be at. I think a field goal will put it to 44. Let's put it that way.
I'm going to take the under on this one. It's 20-17 game.
I'll take the under, but my boy Jacoby Myers, do we want to talk about him? I've been popping off about him the last couple weeks.
Good.
I just have to couch it beforehand and saying Stephon Gilmore is supposed to play. Continue.
So if Lamar Jackson ever throws outside even once, he's looking for trouble.
I just said the exact wrong thing. Marlon Humphreys is going to be in this game. Damn it. Sorry. We have Baltimore above in the show doc, and so I was already thinking about
Stephon Gilmore. But in that case,
so Marlon Humphreys against Jacoby Myers it terrifies me for Jacoby. For all the people that are like, dude, have you seen what he's done? He's on fire. Rules, and all of a sudden, but Kevin, you can say your piece.
I mean, I think he's more of a volume play than anything this week. That's a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup for anybody. So, he's seen just a gigantic target spike the last 3 weeks. Week 7 through 9, he's number 1 in Whopper, which weighs air yard share and target share. So, I mean, this is over guys like Adams and McLaurin. So, this is a guy who's just basically he is it right now. And if they want to bring back N'Keal Harry and play him over Myers, there is something disturbing and wrong in New England right now.
I think that's part of the problem, though, is that he's the apple of Cam Newton's eye right now. And Cam is traditionally and still this year a one-read quarterback. And as long as Myers is open, he's going to get fed. This week, that might be troublesome. Like you said, Humphreys being back pays it kind of sends up a red flag that we might see some Cam force jobs and some Cam turnovers again this week, because he's going to hone in on that first read being Myers. So, yeah, volume play for sure. Turnovers for Cam, very likely.
Yeah, this screams like one of those 23-3 games. That's just
Could
Baltimore, and it's going to seem like it's a bigger gap than that.
Right. I feel you on that one.
I told you guys that I had a league that had I said about an hour ago, a league that was going to have waivers running, and 2 teams. It's like a 2-conference league mirror kind of stuff. Both conferences just dropped Marquise Brown.
What?
And it's a keeper league too.
Oh wow, yeah, that's stupid.
Man,
He's
I don't even know.
bank.
That is easy money.
I
'Cause-
picked up Deontay Johnson in that league, actually, 2 weeks ago.
You need to stay in that league as long as you
Can
can,
I-
buddy.
Can I be in that league, please?
It's a pretty competitive league.
I know people that
Anyway.
can make other
Is it?
people disappear. Is that a way to get in?
Yeah, it's wild. Well, we'll have conversations offline about it. We're actually looking for 1 to 3 more owners, not a joke. So, Monday Night Football. If we can move on to it, actually, maybe we didn't even cover Baltimore. Is there anything to cover with Baltimore? Like Mark Ingram probably going to play.
Yeah, that running back
everybody's-
situation is who's who of. I have no fucking clue.
Everybody's terrified of starting anybody. Would you start Lamar or Wentz this week? Asking
Wentz,
for
100%.
Wentz has a better matchup. I don't trust either one of them this week, but I guess that Wentz wins the tiebreaker of the better matchup.
Kevin's the tiebreaker.
It's
Kevin.
Wentz, and there's no comparison.
Well, he's not allowed to speak ill of Dakotans, so.
That's true.
That's true.
Monday Night Football. Minnesota at Chicago. I have no idea.
What the
if
hell?
that makes
Bears.
sense, but any sense.
Da Bears.
Never done that before. All I have to say for
Minnesota.
Minnesota is holy fuck, Dalvin Cook. That's actually
Yeah.
what I wrote. That's it. That's the team preview. Chicago.
There you go.
Anything to add to Minnesota? I don't know.
Not this week, no.
For Smith had 2 touchdowns. Go you. Have
2
fun
catches.
in your
2
One a
catches,
week,
2
yeah.
touchdowns
in your week.
on my taxi squad.
He vindicated us. So Chicago, Allen Robinson, you're always going to be starting. And really, to me, there's 2 questions here. Do you have any interest in starting Mooney or Miller? And realistically, are you starting Foles or Cousins if you have to start one? So Mooney, Miller, are you starting one?
Mooney.
Do you have to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I know your answer. Okay, so it's going to be Mooney. For anybody that doesn't know, Mooney's had some great air yards. He's had good targets. I think he's had a minimum of 5 targets for the last 3 or 4 games. So,
One of the highest percentages of uncatchable targets in the entire league because of his quarterback situation.
which is
Yeah.
perfect. So let's lead us to the next question of if you have to start a quarterback, is it going to be Foles or Cousins?
It's still Foles for me.
Foles.
I mean,
100%.
matchup dependent. Foles is a terrible quarterback overall, but the last couple of weeks we've seen him put up pretty good numbers against bad defenses, and this is no exception.
Yeah.
What if someone said to you that Minnesota's pass defense had looked a little bit better the last few weeks, minus Devontae Adams only going 4 for 25 and 3?
Yeah,
Doesn't
Okay.
phase
Still,
me.
yeah.
I mean,
I still
you're
think
asking- start
Foles against the Vikings is still more appealing than Cousins against a good defense in the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a buzzsaw. Wanting to start, and I have to do it in a super flex, and I'm not feeling good about it. I actually might start like a wide receiver over Cousins because that game's gonna be a buzzsaw for
Yeah.
Cousins. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Kyle Fuller's awesome. Adam Thielen and Jefferson. Jefferson hasn't really. There's going to be growing pains there in that Minnesota passing game, and we've seen that with Jefferson. He hasn't been really that excellent outside from, I believe, 1 game outside of week 3. And Thielen hasn't been typical Adam Thielen. Now he gets Kyle Fuller. So
Yeah.
that passing game is going to be it's going to be tough. They're running everything through Dalvin Cook. I mean, why wouldn't you?
You might see Cook another 30, 35, 40 touches this week again. It's going to be really hard to see Cousins dealing with that pass rush of Chicago very well. People, for some reason, don't talk about the Chicago pass rush. That's the key to their whole defense. Hakeem Hicks and Khalil freaking Mack is still on that team, and he's
good,
still
I heard.
really freaking good. So that pass rush is deadly, and they make that secondary even better.
I think they talk about the pass rush. I think they just don't talk about their rush defense is not. The rush defense is just a rush defense. Like, they're okay.
I mean,
They're a lot like the
Hicks is
Packers.
Transformative.
They're a lot like the Packers, where they can be pushed around, but they're going to get after the quarterback, and they're going to make their secondary look better by result of that pass rush.
For sure. All right. Hey, we made it through despite my drunken antics. And Bo, give us your pitch. And number one, throw people on your hot box. And I just have to say before, but the preemptive thing, for anybody that hasn't actually tasted the hot box, I'm not somebody that heats a lot of hot sauce. Every single person I have talked to says it's some of the best hot sauce they've ever had.
It's beautiful.
It's at hotboxbatch.com. I also sell my Smoke Shack barbecue rub on there. There's also a link to ViridianGlobal.com. They're my graphic designers that do amazing graphic design work. They make all my merch, t-shirts, hoodies. There's soon to be some hats in stock. Get your Hotbox merch at Viridian Global. But Hotbox Batch it's all about just small batch gourmet hot sauce. I mean, I do dabble as a chef, and so I wanted to come up with a condiment that is hot enough to wake you up and make everything taste better, but not boring. I don't want anything to come where it's like, whatever. I want people to lose self-control when they eat my hot sauce. So I kind of did a little scientific work on the ingredients to make sure that it's kind of like that chips and salsa loss of self-control, where you have to put it on every meal. You have to just keep eating it, and that's
science. It's science.
It's science of a fat kid that I just translated into a condiment, and so it's been a ton of fun. You can find me on Twitter at Bo_McBigtime. And you can read all my work at nimblewnumbers.com/bo-nose-dfs, as well as podcasticnetwork.com and hammercast.com. Yeah, I write 4 articles a week now. It's pretty busy.
Oh, yeah. And we kept you here for an hour and 40 minutes, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah.
KT?
Glad to have you, man. Glad to have you, man, Bo. It's always a when our paths cross. And Gary, my friend, we will be back on Sunday morning for Fighting Chance kickoff, 10 o'clock Central. You can find us going through the week, that week, injuries and weather. And I'm drunk. No, I'm not. But,
I'll be tuning in and lurking in the comments as usual.
Yes,
yeah.
Bo is notorious for lurking in the comments. So, if you have a stream, he's probably in it somewhere. But again, Bo, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and spitting hot fire, just like your hot box sauce.
I have a reputation to uphold.
Damn right. And Gary, my friend, a pleasure as always. We will be back next week. We'll have Samantha Praviti from the New York Post. And we will be just going through some shenanigans for week 11. So don't miss that. Yeah, I'm excited. So make sure to tune in for that. And Fighting Chance Kickoff. I am Kevin Tompkins for Bo McBrayer, Bo McBigtime, Gary Haddow. Have a great night, everybody.